Welcome to VP Culture lesson number 4. And this lesson is going to be focusing on the focus on thoughts. So let's dive into the meaning of this. So we have this chart, which is how we identify what emotions are. We talked about our physical dynamic last time, and this time we're going to be talking about the dynamic of our thoughts, either positive thoughts or negative thoughts. How to identify those, some good questions you can use and techniques you can use as a leader in a team and as a team member to draw this out. So, focusing on your thoughts. This is a little bit more complicated than focusing on your energy. So when we do this, we often have a lot of thoughts, and it's harder for us to characterize our thinking than it is to characterize how your body is energized. So it involves more complex processes, it involves vocabulary, and this is usually where a lot of people get tricked up. So I'm going to give you some techniques on how to simplify this and the patterns within your thinking that you might be able to use to direct yourself and others towards clarifying their thoughts. So here are two major categories that people are usually using in their thinking process. Now, if it's positive, it means I want to move towards it. That sounds exciting. I'm going to move my energy towards that topic. If it's negative, I'm going to move away from that. I'm going to take my energy and move away from that topic or that situation. So I'm either going to be really vigorous and moving away because I'm afraid or even terrified, almost what this person looks like, or I'm going to use my energy to push it away. It's like I can't run away from it, so I'm going to push it away. It's not fair. It's not good. It makes me angry. So I'm going to stand and sort of fight it, maybe verbally, and hopefully not physically, but sometimes even that way. So these are the two categories of moving towards or moving away that we can put our thoughts in order to help us simplify how our thinking is going. So you might ask someone, does this project seem like something that you really want to engage with? So that would be a moving towards question. So am I sensing that you're just not have enough energy or time to really engage with this? This is too much for you. I'm moving away. So those are questions that are helping people explore things. Do you have, you're thinking you have enough energy and time, and do you really want to engage in this project? So that would be something that, what are your feelings about this project? Does it fit with who you are and what you want to do? And that will give you either the move away or move towards kind of responses in their thinking. So the next thing that we need to deal with is this idea of observation or focus, and then control of our thoughts. Oftentimes, we're under the impression that I can control all of my thoughts. And I do some experiments with people in the live presentations that show how we can't really control our thoughts. It's really, most of our thoughts are coming from this subconscious mind, and they bubble up to the surface. And we try to control these things, but they've already happened. They're usually in response to trying to explain our energy, like I need to move towards it or away. And then we put some sort of thought that explains it on top. So it's better to observe this. So why do we say that it's better to observe this? So that we don't get consumed by those thoughts. So let's delve into the science behind this a little bit here. So Stephen Hayes is the author of the ACT, acceptance and commitment technique, that's been used within psychology, within occupational psychology, in the workplace for over 3 decades now. And it's proven highly successful because it correlates very well with what's actually going on in your neurological systems and in your brain. So let's delve a little bit deeper into why this works. So if we are trying to control our brains, so our brain is reacting to itself, okay? So it's acting out the thoughts, it's very impulsive, it's shallow thinking, it's whatever our brain puts on it, we burst it out and we start talking about it in a negative way without contemplating it first. That's what we were talking about. That's emotionalism. We don't want this. And ACT shows that's not healthy for you to live this way. It actually gets you in that energy danger state or the energy low state more often than not if you're just reactive. So it's better to observe, pull back, and then decide what to do out of your values. So that'd be the commitment part of ACT. The other thing we do is suppress. Like, oh, I don't want to think about that. I want to push that thought away. You lose a lot of energy pushing these thoughts away, trying to make them go away. What happens, your brain gets in a loop cycle. So your subconscious creates a thought, and then your VLPFC is like, is it there? It's like, we're here. Go away. And by your very act of checking on it, you're causing the thought to come up. Is it there? I'm here. And then, so you get in this state called rumination. So when you want a thought to go away, you actually get stuck in the thought more often than not. So suppressing thoughts is not a good strategy. Reacting to thoughts, not a good strategy. So what's the strategy that we should be doing? Observation. So those two control strategies of repression and reactivity, suppression, those are control strategies. Not a good pathway to thoughts. Observing your thoughts, that's the strategy. That gets you a little bit of detachment. Your VLPLC becomes the person in control. Otherwise this is your subconscious being in control. Not always well thought through. It's just designed to get you out of danger as fast as possible. So it's going to use your low danger or high danger situations to get you out of it, because it's all about quick. The VLPFC is your executive center where you can make more calculated, weighed decision, because you have observed and you've respected the emotional situation. You're not suppressing it. You're not telling it to go away. That would be a control mechanism. You're observing it. You're giving it space to act out or to be considered, and then you're giving it your attention in a healthy way. So again, the VLPFC is the one doing all that observing of the other parts of your brain. And one technique about thoughts that ACT puts forward is picturing your thoughts as leaves floating down a river, because we have over 50,000 thoughts per day. And you think, oh no, this thought is going to take over all of my thinking and I'll be stuck in it. Well, if you can observe it, it's like, yeah, look, there's one little thought, like, how are the kids going to get home from the school today? Oh, I don't know. I think my spouse is going to, oh yeah, I did call them. Oh, did I have a text on the phone? Oh, I need to call so-and-so. Oh, were we going to do that dinner thing the other day? And you could see your thoughts in just a chain of thinking is gone from like, where did it even start? But sometimes when you feel like you're going to be caught in some sort of chain of thinking, it's really not the case. It'll be moving along, and you'll notice that if you do this often enough, it'll float away. This is a great technique to use in the middle of the night when you have those catastrophic thoughts. And you're like, just another silly thought. It'll flow away if I just observe it and let it go. So, positive and negative thinking, that's that access. We've been pursuing that and understanding that. And motivational interviewing. So, a lot of motivational interviewing you could see how these open-ended questions, these affirmations, can help work you through what you're thinking. Okay, so use these to help you move from like, why am I feeling this tension? I'm not sure where to go, to actually where you want to go by sort of using these question techniques to find your way there. So now we have a story about Eric and how he's using motivational interviewing techniques with himself to sort of process the observation of his thoughts. Eric sat in the meeting room and he couldn't help feel the pang of exclusion. The project being discussed was the one that he had hoped to lead, but instead Sarah was at the helm. He found himself wondering if this was the consequence of a mistake he had made in a previous project. And then he used an open-ended question. Is this really a past mistake, or is there something else at play here? Eric asked himself. He pondered on this, trying to delve deeper into his feelings of exclusion. And then he affirmed something, his next thought. He acknowledged his past mistake. He had made a mistake in the past, but I've learned and grown from it. And he reminded himself that his capabilities and his value that he brings to the team is quite a lot. Reflective listening. So he replayed the events in his mind. Sarah is leading this project, not because I'm incapable, because really it's her turn to shine on this one. He understood that every team member gets their chance, and this time it was Sarah's. Summarizing. So as the day progressed, Eric found his thoughts drifting to the project he was currently working on. Ideas began to form, strategies started to take shape, and he felt renewed sense of purpose. He realized, my focus should be on the present project, not on what could have been or should have been. By the end of the day, Eric felt a sense of relief. The thoughts that seemed so significant in the morning and overwhelming now felt distant and even untrue. He was glad he didn't spend too much time dwelling on them. Instead, he chose to acknowledge his feelings, explore them, and then let them go. Making room for new ideas and opportunities, he realized, I'm more than my past mistakes. I'm my present actions and my future potential. That sounds better. This thought left him feeling motivated and ready to tackle his current project tomorrow with renewed vigor. All right, so that's the end of Eric's story, and we'll be moving on to questions for your group. So, question number 1. How busy are your thoughts typically? Are you typically on one thought all day, or do you have lots of thoughts? Question number 2. Can you remember any of your thoughts that were judging your activities today? What were they? Question number 3. How are your thoughts sometimes exaggerated to the negative about situations? Question number 4. What would it look like just to accept your thoughts without judgment? So answer those questions with your team, and then we'll come back and finish up this lesson. So that was lesson number 4, focusing on thoughts about our emotional experiences. So we gave 2 rules of thumb to use. First was am I moving towards thoughts or moving away thoughts as being sort of a basis of positive and negativity. It's a way to detect positive and negativity, very simply. And then we talked about control versus focus again. The controlling techniques were repression and reactivity. Those are things that we need to avoid and kind of watch ourselves in. That means we're getting caught in the cycle of our thoughts. And it doesn't end up well. Usually, observation allows us to take more of the commitment approach where we can pivot towards values, which we'll talk about in another lesson, and towards the proactive emotional section towards the end of this emotional science. So that's lesson number 4. And we hope you join us in the next lesson, lesson number 5.